to Aztecs All In, the podcast that goes all in on San Diego State sports. I'm Louis Weiner along with Steve Perez. We're two Aztecs alums who are excited to cover both football and basketball in this week's edition. Steve, we are two busy guys, huh?
Yeah, that's us, Louis. We're just a fun bunch of guys, a couple of hanging bananas.
Coming up on this edition of Aztecs All In, episode 24, Brady Hoke on playing Colorado State this weekend and how the team is focused on finishing strong for the seniors. Plus, Zurus Fiaseu on what the Aztecs can do to avoid getting hit with those dreaded, Steve, what do you call them? Chunk?
That's what you call them. I call them big plays or 20 yards plus.
Chunk plays. I call them chunk plays.
Big plays, 20 yards plus plays, yes.
And tight end Mark Redman on trying to do the little things that will produce victories. Plus, yes, the Aztec men's basketball season opens the regular season with a Final Four banner-hanging 83-57 win over Fullerton State. We'll hear from Coach Dutcher, Jaedon, LeDee, and Micah, Parrish. But first, it's football, Aztecs, Colorado State, Steve, and coming off a tough double overtime loss. Yeah, San Diego State just snake bit this season in the last few weeks, just making some good plays last weekend, but not enough to win. And that seems to be the case most weeks.
They seem to be getting closer and closer with each game. But those three conference games they have played, which could have turned on somebody making a play and some other team being prevented from making a play, have not been there.
Yeah, Jalen Maiden played a little better last weekend. 25 for 39 for 265 and 3 touchdowns. So he was not the reason San Diego State lost the game.
Really amazing how statistically close both of these teams are when it comes to the number of points scored and the number of points against. Of course, Colorado State's got a little bit of an edge offensively. The Aztecs have a little bit of an edge defensively. And let's kind of get into talking about what the players had to say about all this. But first of all, you got to deal with the fact that the Aztecs' legacy over recent decades has been winning and being bowl eligible by this point in the season. Having this record staring you in the face at this point of the season is something that is new for the program. So trying to get the culture in the same mindset despite the fact that you have not been able to put anything out there on the record is a challenge for this team, trying to keep everybody still involved. So Zurus Fiaseu talked to the media this week about what it is like trying to keep that part of the culture going. And also, he's had a pretty fine season, so he talked about that at the outset as well. And finally, Louis, just for you, also asked what the defense is doing to address the season-long tendency toward giving up the big play, 20 yards plus, or as you like to call them, the chonk play.
At the end of the day, I'm really just doing my job and trying to push everybody. I mean, yeah, we got leaders, we got captains, but at the end of the day, I'm the middle linebacker of the defense. I got to make sure everyone's doing the right job. Got to make sure everyone's still, running to the ball, doing what we got to do, our 111. We got a defensive philosophy, and I'm not going to just let, 1 or 2 people talk about it. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm out there trying to push what our culture is and keep the culture up. So in our defense, really, if one person messes up, it could mess up the whole thing for our defense. I mean, you're supposed to, if it's one thing of just trying to send it back to another player, or if it's keeping the edge on defense, really, like a lot of big plays, it's just little mistakes that we didn't capitalize on. And, for us to make those mistakes is unacceptable. And so we go over film, we watch film every day, try to make sure we correct those mistakes so no big plays happen. And mistakes are going to happen, don't get me wrong. But for us, we just got to make sure we minimize everything, make sure that we do more good than bad.
Louis, did you hear that? It's not like they're going out and saying, here's a big old peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Take a big bite out of it. Take a chunk. They're trying to do what they can to prevent those.
Well, of course they are. But time and time again, Steve, that's been the problem, is those long runs from scrimmage or those long passes that the defender just out of reach. And it's something that they've been trying to fix all season.
Right. And statistically, you look at the Aztecs as far as rushing and passing defense in the conference. They are number 5 against the run. number 8 in the conference against the pass. Statistically, the best team in all those categories is Air Force, but even a team like Air Force can show it can get beat. They lost to Army last week in a game that you would not have expected them to lose. So it's football. Anything can happen. And speaking about the game where anything can happen, in the Aztecs case, have been unable to get over the hump. And most of the times, as we've noted at the outset, it's a handful of plays separating themselves from the other teams in the conference where they've had opportunities to win the game, especially last week when they came down to the overtime. Utah State made the plays in overtime. San Diego State was unable to prevent them from making the plays and did not make the plays of their own, particularly on their last opportunity to get into the end zone and also make the 2-point conversion to keep the game going. It was something that did not happen. So Mark Redman, along with Coach Brady Hoke, who we'll hear from him in a moment, talked about that fine line, that slight edge, which often proves to be the difference between actually winning a game and walking away as the loser.
And it all comes down to, like everyone says, I mean, Brady says 6 to 8 plays. Sometimes it's 1 to 3 plays a game. So, I mean, it's really just being able to make the plays in the critical time of the game that I think really separates you from everyone else. Down in the locker room, I've been on a team where it hasn't been that great, had a losing record, and that's not something that you see from the guys in this team. They're still eager to go out there and eager to fight, so that's the thing that I'm most proud of with our team. I mean, Coach Hook always talks about it. Take 24 hours, whether you win or lose, enjoy it or just live on it, and then you got to get to the next game. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your performance is. It doesn't matter whether you had a great game, bad game. You got to move on. You got to get to the next game. So, all it is this week.
So we've talked about the chonk play. We've talked about how the Aztecs have not been able to make the big plays to get over the hump. Now let's talk about this week's opponent, Colorado State University. Lewis?
Yeah, Colorado State, Steve, as you said earlier, 3-6 on the season, similar record to the Aztecs, a disappointing season for them, and also 1-4 in the conference. They lost this past weekend 24-15 to Wyoming, and the Cowboys turned some interceptions on consecutive drives into touchdowns toward the end of the game. But they do have a talented quarterback, freshman, Braden Feller Nicolosi. He passed for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, becoming the program's freshman record holder with nearly 2,700 passing yards. So Brady Hoke knows that, again, going to Fort Collins this weekend is going to be a challenge. And he also says the focus isn't just on winning the game, but on playing hard for the seniors.
You know, Colorado State, we're similar in a lot of ways, football team-wise again. They offensively, I think the quarterback is really a good football player, really good at the skill positions. Tight end is probably the best tight end in the league overall. I would say him and Mark somewhere in there. Defensively, very active up front. When you look at, their special teams, they're a good team. And it'll be exciting to go up there. It's a great stadium, a really nice place to go play. I think the other thing is, we play for our seniors, and our seniors have worked their butts off. They're not satisfied for where we're at. Nobody is. But the one thing, they came out Monday, had a hell of a practice. We're going to get after it today. And be physical with what we're trying to get ready for. And they're fighting their asses off. Now we got to execute. Got to do both.
So, Steve, this matchup very similar to this past weekend's matchup with Utah State, a team with having a disappointing season, trying to turn their season around, toward the end of the season. And the same thing now with San Diego State and Colorado State. 2 teams having disappointing seasons, but trying to end the season on a strong note.
Yes, and you are going to see a quarterback who's a redshirt freshman out there in Braden Fowler Nicolosi who wings it, puts a lot of balls up in the air and averages close to 300 yards a game. He's the leader in the conference in total offense with 295 yards. And they also have two receivers who are among the leaders in the conference in receptions. Terrell Vaughn averages 7 receptions a game. Dolan Holker, 5 receptions a game. Vaughn has 730 yards in receptions. Holker, 653. So these guys, they'll rack up the yards if the Aztecs aren't careful and if they're not in their defense in this situation.
Yeah, and playing at elevation again in Fort Collins is always a bit of a challenge for players. The seniors maybe not so much because they're used to it, but some of the younger players may not, know what to expect when it comes to playing at altitude.
Yeah, and Fiaseu says also the quarterback has some sneaky speed, so they got to put pressure on him. They're going to try to blitz him, make him uncomfortable back there. But if he gets out and is able to run, he's sneaky fast. So we've said this is a broken record. It's just going to be a challenge. And the fact that it is in Fort Collins, it's going to be somewhere around 50 degrees unless some sudden freak storm comes blowing in.
Which is known to happen in times, for sure.
Right. It's going to be football weather, which, Brady Hoke was asked about that and said, that's football. And that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's a 5 o'clock start Colorado time, 3 o'clock here in California. So that wraps up our football coverage. Steve, let's talk a little hoops. How about the Aztecs last night? What did you think?
How about those Aztecs? Yeah, always fun to see them in their season opener. Something extra special this time. Unique experience for me because there were a ton of people who were lined up trying to get into the Viejas Arena to get their commemorative ring. And one of those, as I looked behind, was the athletics director, J.D. Ricker.
Your good friend. A good friend of Aztecs All In, I should
terrific.
say.
Yeah, and he, for some reason, have an issue with the metal detector, but they let it by, But,
seriously?
Yeah, and so we both walked up and grabbed our ring at about the same time. He pulled his out and looked at it. It's quite a substantial little piece of hardware there, kind of nice.
I believe he has the real version of the ring. We have the replica version.
Yes, and we had a brief conversation, speaking of football, just about there's a certain element. I think I've heard some grumbling somewhere within the same area code about the person that they have running the team right now and what should happen with him. The retort, I think, from JD was, yes, we have a very passionate and enthusiastic fan base. But I don't think Brady Hoke's going anywhere for the time being. I mean, unless you have $5 million for the buyout and find somebody else. Do you have that in your pocket, Louis?
I don't.
Well, then it's easy to call for someone's head.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, let's go to. But on to basketball.
Yeah, talking about the fan base, the crowd last night was electric. When the banners were unfurled, it was a moment to remember. And the Aztecs started off like gangbusters, got out to a 14-0 lead over Fullerton, and then once the excitement died down a little bit, Fullerton made a game of it for a while.
And then LeDee got on track. Boy, he looked unstoppable at times in there. Just racked up the points, 27 on the night, 10 rebounds, so a double-double for him. And a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of enthusiasm amongst all the people. It was fun. You're in a packed spot like that. And having the dance team, the cheerleaders in between the breaks, and the show going in full throat, and the announcer announcing the 3-point play is just a lot of fun.
It's an OG's 3.
Right. Well, don't say that name. They're not paying us.
Oh, that's true.
At any rate, though, we're going to hear from the players first, or are we going to hear from Dutch?
Let's hear from Dutch first.
Like some other people who were privileged to be inside, kind of listened in on what he had to say to the assembled media, his first blush, if you will, of the performance. And he was excited at what he saw. Yeah, he also addressed the issue about the 3-point percentage. Not so good from 3-point range, 9 of 3. Yeah, towards the end they actually did get better, but there were spots where they were hawking up the threes and they weren't going in. And he says he has no problem with that. But here's Dutch's overall take in the big picture after the game.
You're mixing a lot of different pieces in there, and you're learning as they go. So the key to any season is winning while you learn. If that can happen, then it's a lot of fun. So we learned lessons and we won. I told him after the game, some mistakes we can try to correct as the game goes on, but others will be film session tomorrow and learn from your mistakes. And that's the thing with this program. All the years I've been here under Steve and when I was fortunate enough to take over is we get better as the season goes on because we got kids that want to learn, that want to be taught, that aren't excuse makers. And so we'll learn these lessons and hopefully get better as the season goes on. I'd like to see more threes go in. So, I mean, they were step-in threes. I mean, you can run an offense for 7 months, and to get a step-in three, you got to take it every time, and we got step-in threes. Some of them we might have caught and been a little off balance and still took it, but we had some wide-open shots we didn't make, and if we're going to be really good, we have to make those shots. So Micah made them tonight. Reese is capable, and BJ, I was teasing BJ as a young freshman. I said, hey, at least you hit the rim on him. So, it's just what it is. I'm not a guy that's going to micromanage wide-open shots. If they're wide open and they're step-in threes, I don't like the ones where they're step-backs and they're creating threes that are off rhythm. But if they shoot a rhythm three, I have to live with the results of some of those.
So the Titans were 32% of their shots overall from the field, 5 of 24 from behind the arc. So Aztecs defense put on a pretty good show too last night.
They did for sure, especially early on in the game when Fullerton didn't know it hit him. The game didn't start off great for Micah Parrish. He quickly picked up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game and then picked up a third in the first half and ended up on the bench. But when he was in, he was stellar. Parrish hit 5 of 6 from 3 and finished the game with 17 points and 3 assists. Parrish says he likes to set the tone from the start, but that those early fouls kept him a little off his game. But when he did get back in, he made it count.
This year, I have to set the tone. That's something that we talk about all the time, set the tone. So we got to set the tone. So I feel like that's like my job, almost. Come out here, set the tone, be the vocal point on defense, get the energy on offense and things like that. So I kind of let my teammates down, getting those fouls early, but I was trying to be aggressive, set the tone. So, I mean, that happens. I don't think I'm a shooter. I think I'm a bucket, a basketball player. Honestly, I mean, everybody might say I'm a shooter, but I don't think I'm a shooter because before I was never a shooter. I learned how to shoot. So I know when you shoot shots, sometimes they don't go in, sometimes they don't go in for a stretch. So you just got to stay consistent, stay in the gym. That's what I do. And, the work always going to show, so I just got to believe in myself.
So, Steve, earlier you talked about Dutcher saying he's okay with them putting up, those three-point shots, those step-in threes, as long as they're not taking step-back threes. But as fans, we see them chucking up all these threes and they're not going in. So it's a different mindset from the fans as opposed to the players who shooters are going to shoot, right? And, it's just a different mindset.
Yes, it is. And I happen to be a member of a gym that has a basketball court. So every once in a while, I'll ask for a basketball and I will venture out onto the court. And I will start trying to, chuck up some threes. And surprisingly enough, a lot of mine don't come close to going in. So.
Really?
And you know what else? I end up with a sore right arm because it takes a little bit of force to get something up toward the rim from behind the arc. And speaking of sore, again, the Aztecs were without Jaedon Trammell, who has that shoulder that is bothering him. Dutcher did say that if they were playing for the national championship, Jaedon would be playing. It's going to be a game time decision whether he will be playing against BYU.
Yeah, before the game, Steve, we did see him on the court warming up, so he seemed to be moving around well. So we'll look forward to hopefully him on the court Friday in Provo. The challenge for San Diego State in this early part of the season is to get the young guys more comfortable playing with the vets. And that means it's up to the vets to lead by example. Jaedon LeDee did that and more last night, as you said earlier, Steve, scoring 27 points. He was 8 of 12 shooting, including his very first three-point make in his career. He was 0 for 9 last season, and under the basket, he was often mugged and was able to sink 10 of 15 free throws. So at this point in the season, it's not just about work ethic, but also helping the younger guys along the way, according to LeDee.
I mean, that's what makes us, us San Diego State. We're going to play hard. I mean, we got, that San Diego State across our chest, that's, it means a lot to us and all the people that's been here and been playing. So, that's what we're going to do every game. We're going to play hard. We're going to give it all we got. Our continuity, I know that first five that we've been playing with each other since pretty much last year, with the exception of maybe two people. So, it's just us working since July, just us letting it all come together. That's it. Every minute you play in a live game, you get better, That's what we do here. We're going to get better every game, every minute. So I'm glad they got to see, nobody's really going to lay down. You got to kind of put them down. So, that's just a good learning point for them.
LeDee was a monster out there, Steve. Somebody tweeted during the game, I forget who, but basically said if this LeDee was playing in the national championship game, it might have been a completely different outcome because he was that big a force last night on the court.
Well, a lot of that's about matchups, too, so I don't know if Fullerton had the same kind of lineup as...
I don't think they did.
Some Yukon! But it's hanging up there, that Final Four banner, which the Aztecs unveiled last night. No one can take that away from them, and it was an exciting moment. Everyone waiting around to see it unveiled for the first time last night, and including the head coach, Brian Dutcher, who took a moment to take it in.
It's great. I'm going to look at it every day and then go to work. Step onto Steve Fisher Court, look at the Final Four banner. A lot of good stuff's happened here. So it's fun. This is a fun place. And then the crowd tonight, come on. The energy in the building was incredible. So we feed off that, and this is a fun place to play and a fun place to come watch a game. So it was exciting.
Yeah, Steve, the crowd last night was fantastic, especially early on, that 14-0 run to start the game. Fullerton, obviously, very affected by the crowd. And then in the second half, when Fullerton pulled within 1 point, the Aztecs went on a roll. And as they went on a roll, the crowd just got hyped up even more, and the energy was just palpable.
Big energy in that building. Of course, it always is when the Aztecs are ahead. And hopefully in our lifetime, you never know, they might be able to play on a night when they've unveiled the national championship banner. You never know.
Well, we can only hope and wish.
Meantime, they will be going to Provo. We will have a little bit on that when we come to you next after the Aztecs take on Colorado State. We'll get a special guest appearance from Mr. Louis Jim Nance Weiner. And that will wrap up this edition of Aztecs All In. And I am Steve Perez. He's Louis Weiner. Don't forget to drop us a line on our Gmail address if you like at aztecsallin@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Aztecs_all_in on the X. In the meantime, Steve Perez for Louis Weiner saying thank you for joining us on, say it with me, Louis, Aztecs All In. Talk to you soon.